A lot of people are putting their liver at risk and they're not even aware of it. And this is part of a presentation that I'd recently done looking at toxic liver disease and analyzing the data. And there is one thing that has stood out as extremely important. When we look at this analysis, this is 186 million NHS episodes, so it's looking at trajectories of 524% increase in toxic liver disease in females. Now, this stands out, and this is the kind of information you'll be able to get when you do look at the course link. It has the full dashboard here where you can look through this by age, by sex, breaking it down, as well as the full course. So, the reason I'm doing this is because what I've recognized is that a lot of people don't realize that they themselves are vulnerable. And when we look at what is happening with toxic liver disease, this is a course I just did yesterday, and I'm encouraging you to follow up on it. Is that two areas stood out: hepatitis, not elsewhere classified, and toxic liver disease unspecified. These two are rising very rapidly, and nobody is aware of what really is going on. So, this was where I was focused on that. But there's an important lesson in this that I want to share with you, and it's about fatty liver disease. The reality is that many people are suffering with this and they don't even know why. We're talking about almost 50% of the middle aged population, when they do an ultrasound, will be found to have fatty liver disease, increased more if you are overweight. What really is it and what's going on? Now, for some people who have fatty liver disease, it doesn't really cause any problems. But for other people, it drives an inflammatory process in the liver that can lead to disease later down the line. But here is the bit that very few people understand about fructose. This is critical. A lot of what you're eating at the moment, and I'm not just saying you, I'm saying me as well, the sugary drinks, and I'll show you this in another slide, is not actually sugar. It's technically fructose. And the problem is the fructose, when it's absorbed from your intestine and it goes into your liver, most people don't realize that only about 5% of it is converted to glucose. The rest of it, the natural pathway for this fructose, is to go into fat. And this is why people will be gaining weight. They'll be having a fatty liver. They don't understand why. They're thinking that they're doing better with what they eat, not realizing that they're probably taking too much fructose. And this is the point that I want you to really get. If you get this simple point, this will make a huge difference to your health. So follow this. This is the science broken down. This is about what is happening with regards to fructose. Now, look carefully at this. When we look at sugar, we represent that as sucrose. What happens is that glucose and fructose are bound together, they're not separate. This is what it would look like. There is a bond between them, and this sucrose can't be absorbed. Your intestines literally can't absorb this. What happens is that you have an enzyme in your small intestine that breaks it into separate glucose and fructose. That then gets absorbed. That's the bit that many people don't realize, is that when you're talking about sugar, brown sugar or even white sugar, that is sucrose. But very often, what you are seeing as labeled as sugar on the food that you're eating is not actually sucrose. Now, this is the bit that has happened. And now, this piece of information, if you understand this, makes the world of a difference to your health. Watch this. What happened is that they came up with high fructose corn syrup in about the 60s. And they found that fructose is 4 times sweeter than sucrose. They sometimes call it inverted sugar. And this is what is very often in the fruit juices that you see labeled as sugar. It is not the same as this. Do you notice this bond here? This bond is not present. What you have is a mixture of glucose and fructose, and depending on how sweet they want it, they may have more fructose than glucose, sometimes up to 95% fructose and some glucose, and they call it sugar. But there is no enzyme needed to break this. All of this just gets absorbed and goes straight to the liver. Listen, I can't emphasize to you how important this is in terms of health. And the reason that they prefer to do this from a manufacturing point of view is for a few things. One of them is that, as I said, sucrose is fructose is 4 times sweeter than sucrose. This is why fruit, I guess, use it, because it only needs a small amount to be sweet enough. And so fruit is fine because it usually uses fructose rather than cane, which uses sucrose. Critically, it has a long shelf life. So the fructose helps to preserve the food. So once you see something that's over a year, it will not be sucrose. It will almost certainly be a version of sugar with fructose. It's cheaper, very inexpensive, easy to manufacture, and it is sold as sugar. They market it as sugar, but it is not sugar. It is high concentration of fructose. This is putting damage and pressure on the liver. And this is what I mean is that when I looked at the presentation and when we looked at the different drivers, we were looking at the way how this worked with regards to the metabolic vulnerabilities. And this is again taken from the presentation, looking at the obesity going up 117% post-pandemic. And all of this is largely around what people are eating. And the fatty liver that you get is part of the problem. I'm just skipping through this because this is in part of the course, driving the inflammation and swelling in the liver over time. This is what is making the liver vulnerable. And this is why so many people are struggling, not just with alcohol, but with their medication, with inflammation after they've gotten exposed. And this is what we cover, the 3 primary drivers. All of this is highlighting the fact that there are some things that are difficult to control, like your exposure to the virus, but protecting your health, maintaining your liver, that is absolutely within your control. And so we definitely all have that responsibility to make sure that we are handling that. So in summary, as a quick point here, is that you have the hidden driver is fructose overload. People don't realize that what they think is sugar is not this. This can't be absorbed. It needs to be split by an enzyme in your intestine to become this. What you're being given is already split. And so you absorb all the free glucose, all the free fructose, and this then goes straight to your liver, and it is 95% converted to fat. If this is why you're struggling to lose weight, that will be one of the reasons. If it's the reason that you already have a fatty liver, you need to think carefully about what you're eating and drinking and checking to see if it has sugar in inverted commas, meaning that it's not really sugar, but it is fructose that is being marketed as sugar that is driving the disease that you're struggling with. So thank you very much for listening. Remember, why toxic liver disease is rising in every age group. This is going to be a big part of it. Look at the course. You will be able to get access to the dashboard. And just to show you what I'm talking about, it will give you all the insights into what is happening. And for some reason, toxic liver disease, K71, the ICD code, a 524% increase specifically in women. We don't necessarily have all the answers as to why, but you will get all of this in the course in terms of access to this dashboard and the presentation. Very valuable information. Look forward to giving you more insights in the near future. And again, thank you for listening, and we will keep you updated on everything that is happening. Thank you. Have a great evening.